reports to the board. Unfinished business is there as a placeholder, the data discussion, just waiting for forecast 5 to come back with a dashboard, next revision for us to look at. So with that, we'll move into board reports. Ms. Wood, anything to bring up?
The only thing I had was how much I enjoyed going to the community performance, because I hadn't seen the kids perform this year, the winter guard and the drumline. And you know, not only do the kids get the credit for working their buns off, but their moms and dads do too, because it's a lot of work, it's a big commitment, and a lot of time and dedication. And it shows. I mean, they all did a great job. And I did want to ask you, you mentioned something about a special
needs guard?
Yes.
Yeah.
Can we discuss that? Is that being talked about, discussed, whatever?
What would you like to discuss? I don't know.
Well, is that something that you're talking to Tammy and Andy about, and the money and the TAs and how it's going to work and that kind of thing, or is that something that's not on the table yet?
Yeah, no, that is whatever plans, discussions are happening with that. It's all outside fundraising. It's not district funded or anything.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Certainly nothing that I'm aware of. I don't think.
No one's coming to
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I just had a question about it.
Huh?
My understanding was self-funded.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Any other board member topics for tonight? All right. Give a quick update, and Pearl can confirm this, but we have 4 candidates for the open board of election seats this year. So look for all that information. Will be posted to the website, all that. But I don't think there was anything of note, right, Pearl? All right. All right. So we're good. Good there. How about from our student rep page? Did you have anything you want to bring up?
Tomorrow actually is the Unified Basketball first scrimmage game here, 4-6. They're all really excited. They're wearing t-shirts and everything. And they were, the sisters just went to a teacher's best game today, and all the girls had a phenomenal time. It was cold, but they loved it. They were serving ice cream and snow cones. Like each other. Yeah, the next Unified Basketball game will be on Monday.
Awesome. So tomorrow 4 to 6, you said?
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Yeah.
At the last meeting, I think you mentioned that the next representative was here, and so I didn't know if you wanted to introduce.
Yes.
You stand up.
Hello everybody, my name is Logan Foster. Sorry I'm a little late, I just came from my tennis match. But I look forward to working with each and every one of you next year, and I'm very excited to see what we can do.
Excellent. Us too. How'd you do?
Did you win? I won my match. I'm not really sure how the team did that. I think that it was about 3-3. We were waiting on one more match to see who won. So I'm waiting on a text from one of my teammates. So it's kind of nerve-wracking. Our coach told us she buys pizza, so I'm really hoping. Thank you very much.
Thanks for stepping up, putting your name in to do this next year. So.
Sorry?
Thanks for putting your name in to do this next year. Looking forward to it.
Thank you for giving us the opportunity. I know that a lot of schools don't do this, and this being one of the few, I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Tell Coach Craig to get her act together.
No problem.
Hey, there's more cake up here if you.
Oh, I'm okay. I just ran. I had a long match. So I'm good. Thank you.
All right, turn it over to Mr. Colby for the superintendent's report.
At Brewerton Elementary, to help support the McMahon Ryan Advocacy Center for Child Abuse Prevention Month in April, families and students bought pinwheels with $1 donations to show in front of the school. They raised $710 for the Go Blue for Kids campaign and surpassed last year's total of $456. Also, to show their support of Child Abuse Prevention Month, students and staff will be wearing blue on the last day of the month, April 30th. And again, there's kind of been a common theme when you were hearing some of the instructors talking earlier about the attributes of the Central Square learner and those attributes about, you know, giving back to your community, and you see that. And here's another perfect example of that. The mock trial team has once again become the winning team for Oswego County and will be moving on to the regional competition April 27th. The team roster includes the following students: Madison Brown, Josie Colachico, Taylor Converse, Gabrielle House, Kendall McVeigh, Ryan Merkel, Matthew Moore, Gabrielle Moran, Candace Pendozzi, Ashley Pappas, Kylie Pulis, Zachary Stetson, and Emily Bieru. Congratulations.
Look at Mr. Lloyd's face. He's a little bit of shock over there.
Short break.
Thank you. All right, with that, we'll move into items for action and discussion. I'll make a motion for item F1, approval of the Oswego County BOCES administrative budget vote. Can I get a second before discussion? Mrs. Nickerson, second. Open it up for discussion.
Yeah, test. So I'd like to talk about this one for a second. The admin budget over the past couple of years been 5%. So this year it's 7%, 7.7. The year before that was 5%, 5.45%. The year before that it was 5. My concern is that with the percent change, it goes up every single year. And when they were here back in, I think it was February, when they talked about this, they didn't really seem to have a plan as to when, you know, that would stop. So if we fast forward 20 years, this current rate, you're looking at an admin budget of about $21 million. On top of that, I could see this one being pricier if the general city budget was not 9%, 8%. So you're not really saving any money on the general budget either. So I just kind of have some concerns with whether or not this rate of increase can be sustained. I'd really like to hear if anybody has some different thoughts. Just maybe I'm missing something. I don't know.
Anyone want to weigh in on that?
I mean, in the end, you guys obviously had, you know, your decision. The one thing that I had taken from when Mr. Shepard had talked last time, spoke about this, was that the entire BOCES budget is going up 3.2%, including the admin and capital. So the program costs on the whole were actually going down. But again, to Phil's point, the dinner that we went to, the city annual dinner, what they put on the screen, and it was very obvious, was the massive hike in retirement benefits. And to what Phil just said is that continues to grow and grow and grow. So, but I just wanted to be able to make that one point that Shepard had said, that even though the whole thing was going up 3.2%, the admin, with the admin capital, the actual program costs were coming down. But with that being said,
how does state aid play into that? Because last year we actually had a decrease in state aid, but we still had the 5%. I mean, not that they're directly related, but like, how does state aid pay into that admin budget? Like, not at all.
Maureen, you want to jump in for that? He said, how does state aid play into the admin budget?
It's an expense-driven aid, so what we spend on the BOCES administrative budget does generate BOCES aid.
Yeah. For the previous year?
Yeah, it's
So
always
we
going
get
on
reimbursed
the
like the year after.
Correct. Once the BOCES budgets are reconciled, then the state aid is reconciled, and so by the end of the following year, they basically net out our number. That's why when we're talking about our estimated revenues, those are always estimates.
Yeah.
We don't even know what we spent this year yet.
Right. I just don't, the other thing I don't like is that, you know, we've got this 2.5% to 3% cap for the district. And I don't like that, you know, but then they don't have to follow the same rules. You know, they can kind of go, you know, whatever they need, 8%, 9%, 10%, you know. And this year, it's not even like it stayed the same, it went up another 2%. So, I don't know if the answer is to maybe not, you know, try to keep teachers instead of making them retire. Like, I don't know the specifics behind why the retirement just keeps creeping up. So, could be just lack of long-range planning? You know, I don't really know. So, as far as the city BOE services, percent change last year was 13.38%, and this year is 8.48%. So I mean, I know there's like a 2% in there somewhere, but it's not as clear cut as just you know, the numbers are kind of all over the place, and I know there's like. So here's a question: when we get like one of those partial BOE aids, like a position where, like the network administrator, is that like a partial position that we shared through the region, or is that just us?
No, that's our network administrator is ours.
There's other positions though, right, that are shared, right?
Correct.
Where we do like a 0.6.
Yeah, where does that fall into? Like if everybody in the region, all these school districts, start adding these positions, does that cost then get distributed between the entire region, or does that come through state aid?
No, depending on the ratio of the share, if say we have a 0.6, we're paying the 0.6 of the salary and benefits of that person.
Directly, we are paying directly the 0.6?
To both.
And then the 0.4, where does that come from?
Whatever, the other district is using them.
Okay, so it'd have to be another district that's using
Yeah,
it.
they are, yeah.
Okay,
And,
so that doesn't play into this at all then?
no, it doesn't.
Okay.
Which, if we hired a 0.6 of our own, as opposed to, we'd be paying a lot more of it than going through BOCES in that 0.6, because we get aid back on that from BOCES. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, no, I get it. I understand. So I guess that's all I really have. I just have some concerns whether or not this model is really sustainable over the next 10, 15, 20 years.
Hey, Phil, if I may, I think great point. And what we need to do is we need to be much more proactive as a board, and maybe as a group of boards, to hold them accountable so that they're justifying throughout the year what they anticipate, why they're anticipating increases, or what they're doing to mitigate those increases, because like what Phil says, 5%, 5.5, 7.23, 8.7, 9.4. At some point, the rubber's got to hit the road, and there's no more to give. So we, as a group of schools and districts, probably need to hold their feet to the fire, and instead of at the last minute, hey, just want to let you know, we had a 7.23 increase this year, but it's all good. No, that needs to be handled throughout the year and not dropped on us at the last minute, in my opinion. And if they're incapable of doing that, well, one, shame on them. Two, maybe we need to find someone else to do it.
But I just want to say, I'm not happy with voting on the BOCES budget when it keeps going up. And when you look at that dollar amount per retiree, we're trying to do our best here to keep costs down. And without being there and seeing, and Mike Shepard is a great CPA, he's very good. But without being there, the day-to-day operations, we don't know how they're doing. And like I said, a few years ago, we voted no against the budget. And then I think we got one other school district to vote, and it didn't make any difference because it ended up going austerity and we were paying the same amount anyway. We got that, you know. So unless, like I said before, that unless you get other districts, especially downstate, get a whole bunch of people together and say, listen, this has got to stop. I mean, I don't know how to even go about getting something like that started, but I and you need more voices, you need more,
Well, that's why I said the
Yeah.
entire group of schools and
Yeah.
districts that are in this, whatever you want to call it, group, consortium, whoever's
Yeah.
paying this bill. Well, what do we got? We got the second largest chunk of the bill, if I'm not mistaken,
Yeah.
ratio-wise,
Yeah.
percentage-wise.
yep,
And we don't have the second largest percentage of vote when it comes to voting on this thing at the board level. So it's not a one-for-one. You know, we're paying the largest percentage of the bill, but we don't have any more say than any other district does
no,
when it comes to this sort of stuff.
It's not weighted, it's not weighted.
It's not weighted.
No.
And that's why we need to figure out how to hold them accountable throughout the year, instead of a week before, 3 weeks before we vote on this, oh, hey, it's going up by 2 million, 7 million, 12 million, whatever it is, I don't know the numbers. But dropping it off on us at this point, for us to sit here and labor over the point of whether we're going to vote yes or no, and Laura brings up a great point. Is it a futile effort? If it is, we need to come up with another plan to mitigate that being a futile
Well,
effort.
you know, what about like with the legislative breakfast? I know they come in, we go to those things and they talk about, you know, what, getting more, out there as far as how, the budgets are being worked and all that. Why couldn't we get somebody there, do even something, get a meeting together with just the BOCES and say, maybe somebody from state ed that handles that, to come in and say, how about you give us an overview on why this is happening every year, every year, every year? And why don't we have a say?
I think if we tease out the part that Phil originally was talking about regarding retirement and how those costs keep going up and up and up, and the benefits of retirement. But then when you look at it, a lot of it is driven by the district's needs. So let's say hypothetically, a district has a really high needs special education elementary kid that needs to be put in a special program at a cost of about $150,000 to $175,000 for the district. And they say, you know what, this kid just can't be in the general setting anymore, we got to put him in a BOCES program. So now let's say all of a sudden that happens with 40 kids across the county. They're now going to have to hire an administrator, someone to look over that program. So that's happening. So when we look at BOCES costs going up and up and up, we also have to look at that and say, part of that is a need that a district has to say, we can't have this kid. And legally, we're on the hook to provide all students with a program. They live in our district. A neighboring district just had 2 kids move in at a cost of $350,000 each with the amount of high needs. How do you budget for $700,000 you didn't know was going to be there? And so that's a BOCES program because they can't pay for that. A bunch of that all of a sudden happens, and then all of a sudden they have to have administrators for that. So those are the things, you know, I mean, it's a difficult decision.
Yeah, but we can't just sit here and do what we're doing right now, hypothesizing about what may happen or what might have happened. If it's going up by that percentage point, then they need to be standing here explaining to us why it went up. And if they can say what you just said, Tom, well, we had 40 kids come in at $175,000 a piece, and we need to hire four more staff members, got it. But just sit here saying that this is going up, like it or leave it. Oh, by the way, you can't really leave it. So that's
I have one comment to it. The fact of the matter is, and I say this every year, it is not, unequivocally is not sustainable. That's the fact of the matter. So until something's done, I mean, I truly believe that. This state, you know, everybody says, you know, I'll walk out and I'll have 4 texts by the time I get home. You're out of your mind, you're out of your mind. This state is in significant trouble, and this is a piece of it. It's not sustainable. It can't go up by 8. And granted, they have two $700,000 kids. Something's still got to be done. We got to find a better way. Better mousetrap, whatever it is.
Yeah,
I've been, excuse me, one last comment, Steve, I'm sorry. I've been public on, I don't think they do a good job when there is retirements. I have said this, and I've said it publicly almost every year, I believe. They don't do a good job at evaluating the need of that job, and do they really need it? And can we do without it? If this was a private sector, there is no way they'd be passing along 8 to 10% increases. It just wouldn't happen. You'd be out of business.
bingo.
Period. So, you know, I don't want to go on the soapbox, and I'll stop there, but that's, you know, I've been very vocal, and I love Chris Todd to death, so I hope he doesn't take it personally. This is not personal, but the fact of the matter is it's not sustainable.
Right,
Well, and I think, because it's $9 million this year, right? Plus or minus what we're gonna have to pay in our books is within the budget. And I think that we've done a very good job of managing the money that we're receiving. So that, and I don't have the feeling, maybe they are up at BOCES, I don't know. I mean, the representation, we made a change this year, and I'd like to see more reports back to this board as far as what they're doing, because they might have very legitimate things, but there's no way that you're going to be able to support that cost when our hands are tied to what we can ask taxpayers to contribute. So I just see it more and more of something, 10% of our budget, 11% of our budget, 12% of our budget that we have no control over, really affecting the overall operations of the district. And until that becomes one or a little bit more, maybe we have the ability, maybe we don't. But I have a very good feeling about the budget for the district and what this board's responsible for. I do not have a good feeling about the BOCES budget at all. And it's $9 million that I feel is my own position. I don't have a clue of what they're doing with it.
And I don't appreciate the nonchalance about it. The nonchalance is, hey, it's X percentage more. See you later.
Yeah, and now's not the time to talk about it. Tomorrow, right? Tomorrow's the time to start talking about next year's and how many times they're going to have reported into us. Like I said when he was here, we're the big dog. We're the second largest district, and we, for the Oswego County BOCES, Central Square District means something to them. It's a $10 million need, and they should. I don't think we're getting. I mean, other than services, but I don't think administratively, management-wise, I'm not seeing it. Here's the tab.
Right.
I didn't order the food. I didn't order the drinks. But okay. I don't feel good about it.
Yeah, regardless of the vote tonight, I would suggest that for the next meeting, if you guys want, I'll do a draft letter. We can talk about it next time, because regardless of the vote tonight, I think we need to prep city that, our board's going to want one, more communication before next year's budget. Two, to Tim's and everyone else's point, that we don't believe it's sustainable at its current rate. So what are the things that are going to be done to change that? And then I go back to what I said when Mr. Shepard was here, and I still don't think it's been addressed at all, which is if we consistently every year have overages of, and I forget the number, but for argument's sake, $600,000, instead of having that overage next year, why are we not, for instance, why are we passing a flat administrative budget this year and plan for no overage for 1 year? And I don't think so regardless of tonight's vote, I think those are things that we probably ought to put in an official letter just to kind of make it known that we're going to be a little more laser focused and looking at this coming year. And we want to work with you. But.
And sadly, when you have the money trees of the taxpayer, you can get away with it. That's the disappointment. When you own a business, you couldn't get away with it because you'd close your doors. You'd be out of business, period. And that's what we gotta have people start looking at it that way.
But I mean, personally, I see it as they don't have, ultimately the money comes from the taxpayers, right? But they don't have to really answer to the taxpayers. We do. And that's my primary problem is that, the way that it gets divvied up, based on the size of the school, we pay this huge chunk. And we have to find a way to make that work in our budget with the tax cap that we have. And we've already touched on the fact that they don't have it, but to Tom's point, I understand that they may have unexpected programming changes that might require them to hire one or two or however many more administrators, and that might drive the cost. And I understand that the big presentation was about the retirees in this aspect, but you mentioned that the district had 2 students move in that cost $700,000, but that cost is on the district. That $700,000, that's not on BOCES. They're going to pass that. That's going back to the district. $700,000 for the programming. Maybe they have to hire an administrator to oversee those students, and that would be in the administrative budget. But that $700,000 also has to be budgeted for by the district under the 2% tax cap. So all these restrictions, force us to plan ahead and plan for these rainy days. And I just think that they need to do the same so that it's not just, well, at the end of the year this year, we're going to increase it 7% because that's what we're comfortable with, and they really have very little to answer for with whatever number they put forward, because we pretty much just have to pay it from the sounds of it. I mean, even if we vote no, we're gonna have to pay it anyways, and there's really no one, you know, I can't remember who said it over there, but they may be managing their money very well. I mean, I'm not up there, I don't know if there's positions that should or could be cut, or, you know, I'm not familiar with the information at that level, but my problem stands that you know, I'm being told that I have to pay for something, it's absolutely not negotiable. And there's no one else that I get the service from, so I don't have a choice. I have to pay it, and, you know, paying the large chunk that we do, I don't think that, you know, there's been enough explanation provided for it. And that's.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't recall any discussion at the presentation or presentations about how they're going to make it better, how they're going to make it more efficient. I mean, if I missed it, I missed it. I apologize to whoever may be irritating out there, but I don't recall there being a plan, a discussion, a thought bubble about how we're going to make it better, or how they're going to make it better. Because, like Christy says, it's not their money. It's our money. It's taxpayers' money.
Yeah.
And without that part of that discussion, again, I don't know these people. I don't know this guy from Adam's daughter. Damn well better show up next time with an explanation as to how you're going to make it better. Because to Phil's point, 7 turns into 8, 8 turns into 10.
Yeah.
It's not going to work.
Well, even if it doesn't change and continue to elevate, the fact that it's that high, when we're forced to keep our costs increasing at a minimal rate, and whatever number they come back with, whether it's 3 or 7 or 5, it's still higher than what we're able to do. So how, you know, to Tim's point, we can't continue to eat away at the other chunks of our pie just to continue to expand that
We
portion.
just have to almost like sit here and just take it, you know, and just say,
Right.
thank you, you know?
Right.
May I have another?
Tim, to your point, it could almost be understandable if our, you know, population was increasing at some more
Right.
controllable level like it is down in South Carolina or something.
Another great point.
But, you know, it's not. So,
Yeah.
you know, there's
Tim,
no,
to your point, if the state ran like a business, we wouldn't have the exodus we have. That's been going on a long time. The state has not ever run like a business.
So everyone's good. I'm going to wrap up discussion. I'm going to ask Pearl to put on unfinished business for next time, draft letter for BOCES, just addressing some of our concerns. So if you can remind me of that, that'd be great. And that has to be a roll call vote, so I'm going to go right to left. So
Can I make one last comment?
Yes.
It might be worth, and I'll say the board president, because I'll give it to you to do, but, I mean, would it be worth the board presidents of every school district in the county sitting down and maybe drafting a letter? And I just throw that out there.
So I was going to do it at the next meeting, but I'll tell you now, my thought is that I can take this back to Oswego County School Boards. There's a representative from everyone on there, and yeah, I'll try to get them all on board with, you know, and again, it's not, it shouldn't be, whoever made the comment, it should never be questioned, or it should never be viewed as a negative, us questioning and wanting to know more about that budget. That's our role, number one, and number two, that's their role. So, yeah, I think we need to invite them in here more than once a year. I think we need better answers, and, you know, when we ask questions like we did last time, it needs to be better response from that. So, I agree, Tim.
This is the most uncomfortable vote I've done in my 2 years being on this vote for this budget.
So just before I go, I mean, I want to be public again. I know it's symbolic, but I am voting. I mean, I am going to vote no, just so everybody's clear. I don't want to, after the meeting, somebody say, we just talked about this. So
Yep.
I know it's symbolic, but that's what I'm doing.
So it has to be roll call, go right to left, just yes or no on the BOCES administrative budget of $7.921 million. Mr. Lloyd?
Again, I'll caveat this vote. I feel like I'm making this vote in a vacuum. I feel like I'm making this vote without enough information to make this vote. And I don't know who to blame for that. And maybe I'll blame myself for not beating the bushes more prior to this vote. But it's not going to happen again. So because I don't have enough information, and I did ask probably enough the right questions 6 months ago, 3 months ago, 2 months ago, 1 month ago, a week ago. I'll take that responsibility upon myself. And I'm gonna let them run with this, and my vote's gonna be yes. But again, caveated with they damn well better come up with a better game plan moving forward. Because they're not gonna get my support anymore. And I've only been on the board for 2 years. Who knows? Maybe it'll be 3, maybe it'll be 10. I have no idea. So yes.
All right, thank you. Mrs. Fishman?
I'm gonna say no.
Mr. Bedworth?
No.
Mrs. Nickerson? Mr. Martin, yes. Mrs. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. McCarthy?
No.
Mr. Buddy?
No.
Mr. Patch?
Can I get a vote
It is currently 5-3 against, so it will not be passed.
Yes.
Yes. All right, so the motion does not carry. Again, we're one of 9 component districts. In all likelihood, we will be the only one that says no. And the other thing I will, with the board's approval, is ask Mr. Colbufo to set up a call with Mr. Todd and us sometime in the next couple of days, because I want him to understand that we're not being antagonists. We have serious concerns, and we couldn't in good conscience support it tonight. So.
You're not ridiculous.
No, I mean, I think there's really legitimate, it's not like a protest vote, it's a vote of, we don't think it's sustainable, we don't think it's right for our taxpayers, you know. I don't think you should view it as we're against BOCES, we're certainly not. We're against unsustainability.
Yeah, I would even be more confident. I would
For
say I
a
don't
better
think it's
plan.
sustainable. I would say I know for 100% fact it's not sustainable. I would be very clear on
No,
that.
we need a better plan, though. They need a better plan.
All right, so Pearl, you have a meeting for that, right? Okay, all right, perfect, thank you. All right, can I get a motion for item F2, approval of the Oswego County BOCES Board candidate elections? The motion is for all 3, but then we'll be voting on each of the 3 candidates individually. So can I get a motion?
Motion.
Mrs. Wood, second
Second.
by Mr. Boyer. So the 3 candidates are Mr. Kevin Dix to represent the Phoenix Central School District, Ms. Vanessa Haskins to represent the Central Square School District, and Ms. Nicole Nadu to represent APW. So show of hands, and all 3 of these, it's not like highest vote getters, all 3 of these are intended to go on the city board for these districts. So those in favor of Mr. Dix, show of hands. Unanimous, thank you. Those in favor of Ms. Haskins, show of hands. Unanimous, thank you. And those in favor of Ms. Nadu. Nadu, unanimous, thank you.
We interviewed well.
Let's see. I will make a motion for item F3, approval of the 30-day extension for Pyramid Brokerage for the sale of 140 Bridge Street. Can I get a second?
Second.
Mr. McCarthy, any discussion on this? And we will be discussing more about that building and potential sale or lease in executive session tonight. So, any other discussion? All those in favor? Thank you. Can I get a approval for, or a motion for item F4, approval of the capital outlay project?
Make the motion.
Second. McCarthy, second by Mrs. Fishman. Any discussion on this? And Pearl, this looks like it needs to be roll call. Based on the link in here. I'll do it because if it's not needed, we're covered.
Okay.
All right. So, being no further discussion, Mr. Martin, yes. Mrs. Wood?
Yes.
Mr. Bedworth?
Yes.
Mr. Buddy?
Yes.
Mrs. Fishman?
Yes.
Mr. Loyer?
Steve, yes.
Mr. McCarthy?
Yes.
Mrs. Nickerson?
Yes.
Mr. Patch?
Yes.
Motion's carried. Thank you. And I will make a motion for item F5, approval of the first reading of proposed district policies. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mr. McCarthy. So at our next meeting would be the second reading, and then they would become our adopted policies. Any discussion on the first vote?
been times where we haven't voted on first readings, right?
Never.
That we didn't have to approve first reading. That's okay, that's fine.
Yeah, no, the vote is basically signifying that we've done the first reading and that we're moving forward with the second reading. And it really is, I think more than anything, to give the public a chance between first and second reading to voice any concerns, but. All right. Any other discussion? All those in favor? And it is unanimous. Thank you. All right, it's going to be a long one. So we're going to move into executive session with action to follow. We will be inviting in Ms. Erin Phillips to tonight's executive session. All right, so I will make a motion for I'll make a motion that the Central Square School District Board of Education hereby moves into executive session to discuss medical history of a particular employee, the employment history of a particular employee, matters leading to the possible suspension, dismissal, or removal of two particular employees, and the potential sale or lease of a building because public discussion will substantially affect the value of the property at issue. Can I get a second?
Second.
Mr. Loy, any discussion?
Is there anything else you want to add?
No, it was covered in there.
It was.
Yep. So we have 4 different personnel matters in the building.
Are we really going to do the dinner?
With
No,
action
we
to
can't.
follow.
Yeah, it has to.
Oh, because of the,
Yeah. And, yeah, several of them.
oh, okay.
So, all those in favor? It's unanimous. Thank you.